The sudden influx of books provided the necessary energy for the readathons to begin. So how long do we have? 14 days. Hey everyone, and welcome to November's TBR Assemble. If you don't know what TBR Assemble is, I'll leave a link up above to my original video, but essentially Thanos is coming and I need to collect the Avengers and the Infinity Stones to stop him. But before I go into the roles for this, I've got to show you my Believathon cards first, so I'll show you those roles first and then I'll go into this. Okay, so my number generator is up, so let's go. First one is 10. 10 is... Read a book released in 2021. A recent spell has gone awry and newfound knowledge you must rely. Okay, then definitely can do this one. So my first prompt for the Believathon is to read a book released in 2021. So I'm going to be finally reading Amari and the Night Brothers, which I've heard is a sort of mixture of like Men in Black and fantasy, if I remember rightly, where the main character's brother goes missing and she sort of gets pulled into a school trying to find him, if I remember rightly, and that's all I really know. I'm very excited to read this one. I've heard nothing but good things, so cannot wait to get into it. And also, I don't know if you can see this, but the edges are glittery, which is very, very cool, quite frankly, in my mind. So very excited to see exactly where this one's going. Next roll is 25. 25 is a book with a 2-word title. Let's make it tricky, let's make it hard. Choose your word wisely, the rest to discard. Okay then, it's read a book with a 2-word title. If this is too tricky, 1 word with 2 syllables will do. Okay, this one may be a bit difficult. My second prompt was 2-word title, so I'm going for The Hat Makers, and I know basically nothing about this one further than the fact that Hannah said I'd probably really enjoy it, and so I bought it off Waypoint from her. I'll leave a link to that down below, which is her bookstore. Go check out her bookstore, it is amazing. But I know basically nothing else about this one, quite frankly, so very excited to see where this one goes. And the only thing I really know is A, shiny cover, and B, look, if I can get it open and not hit myself in the head, look at that under the dust jacket art. I mean, look at it. It's so pretty, and it's also on the back, and it says at the back, you've got to venture into your own heart and head and belly to find out what your own special magic is made of. Interesting. I've never seen that before, so very excited to read this one, got to admit. Cannot wait. Next roll is 14. Okay then. Up to 14, and that is read a book from childhood. Our happiest moments in all our memory. You have to act quick or it's all in jeopardy. Read a book that you have read and loved as a child, or a book you associate with your childhood. My next prompt was a book from childhood, so I'm going to be going for Tangle Wreck, which finally, to say the least, this is a finally, because I can't remember buying this book. I can't remember ever not having this book on my shelves, which is a very long time because it's been through multiple house moves with me, and it was published in 2006. And that's all I know. It looks a bit steampunky, but the funny story with this one is that I unhauled it during a move to my best friend, who then unhauled it back to me again. So it's been moved multiple times, yet it's never been read. And I think it's about time I read it, and I think there's something to do with time travel. I'm pretty sure there's something to do with time travel, essentially, and that's all I really know, which is why it's also going for the prompt for the book I don't remember any details of, because I can't remember a single detail about this book. Further than the fact that it's been on my shelf for, well, since 2006, essentially. It's been here for a very long time. And then I'm going to have one final roll, and that is 21. 21 is read a scary book. A flash of lightning, a terror once told, a scream in the night makes your blood run cold. Read a book that is considered a children's horror or has some scary elements in it. And then my final prompt was scary book, so I'm going to be reading The Jumbies because I promised myself I would read this during spooky season last year, and I haven't got around to it in October, and I'm counting the first week of November, and to be honest, all the way through to January now as spooky season because I don't do Christmas. I hate Christmas, quite frankly, so I'm counting this as very long extended spooky season as I do every single year, so I'm going to be reading this one as well during all the dark nights and all the rest of it and getting a bit spooky. So very excited for this. I know it's a Caribbean inspired fantasy. It's got the characters going into a spooky forest to investigate and things like this, so it's definitely counting for scary book and also the spooky book prompt as well. So today's avatar is going to be Natasha, because I do not have anything that is Eternals and I do not have a Hawkeye yet, but hopefully I will fix that before the next month, so hopefully you'll see a Hawkeye, but at the moment we're dealing with a Natasha. Roll 1 is a 3 and I'm going to start by going this way, so then go for this one, and that is Peggy. Read an older comic for 2 points. My first prompt for TBR Assemble, which is Peggy Carter to read an older comic. Now, quickly as well, I've got to quickly talk about the readathons I'm doing. Obviously I'm doing Believathon, I'm also doing the Clear Your Beep readathon as well, and for that my strength is going to be Recommendation Master. My weakness is Bargain Bin Gremlin, because as we all know I buy a lot of comics because they're on sale, and then also my weapon is the Rusty Knife. And apart from that, the only other readathon I'm doing is the fan fiction readathon, because I love a bit of fan fiction, and spoiler alert, I do land on fan fiction at one point during these rolls. But with that, now I'm going to talk about the comic that I will be reading for the Peggy Carter prompt, and that is I'm going to be reading one of my Eternals comics. Specifically, I will be reading the Neil Gaiman one. For this, there are a couple of others which I'll all leave pictures for here so you can check them out, but specifically I want to focus on the Neil Gaiman one because this is supposed to be a really good place to start with Eternal stuff without having to go all the way back to Jack Kirby. So that's why I'm going to be picking it. I will also be doing a reading vlog for the Eternals, so if you are interested in exactly what I think about all the different Eternals comics I'll be reading in time for the Eternals movie to come out, or just what I think about the movie as well, I will be vlogging it, so you can check that out next month. So yeah, I don't really know much about the Eternals, I'm not going to lie. I am just hoping that these comics are going to fill in the blanks, but we'll see what happens. I'm very excited to read these because I'm so excited to watch the Eternals, and I'm just very excited to see what all the fuss is about. Roll number 2 is a 6, so mind, so I'm gonna dig again because that seems to work quite well. I go for this one, and that is Roadie, continuous series for 1 point. My second prompt was Roadie, which is to continue a series, and so I'm going to fit in Skullduggery Pleasant here. This is Resurrection, and I'm so excited because this is the 10th book in the series, so I can't really tell you what this one's about further than the fact that it's an Irish set fantasy where essentially a magical skeleton detective, Skullduggery, and his assistant Valkyrie, who started out as a 12-year-old and is now like 23. I think she's in her 20s now, so it's not technically a middle grade anymore. They go around basically solving crimes and saving the world in Ireland from magical threats, and I have never read this one. I am a massive Skullduggery fan, but I've only ever got up to the previous book in this series and have not continued on from there. So this is the first time I am reading this, and I am so excited. I've got no idea what's coming. I know 2 spoilers about this second half of the series that I haven't read before, but that's it. Everything else I've known exactly what's coming, apart from Dying of the Light, where I only knew a couple of things that I can remember, and that was it. This time I know nothing, and I am so excited. I haven't even opened this book before, and I'm just unbelievably excited to get to it now. Just so excited. And this is also accounting for a prompt, which is a book where someone dies, because I mean Skullduggery is dead, and I mean it's Skullduggery Pleasant. Someone's always dying in these, so I'm guessing someone's gonna die, so that's why I'm counting it. Roll number 3 is a 4, so Soul fan fiction. For the fan fiction prompt, pretty self-explanatory. I don't know what I'm going to be reading yet, but I am going to be basing my reading a little bit off this bingo board, which is for the fan fiction readathon. Now, I don't know what I'm going to be reading yet. I'll probably be trying to read shorter things that I can just sort of squeeze in here and there between the 7th and the 20th, which is when the readathon is going for. But these are some of the things I will be trying to read in that time, or at least some of the prompts I will be trying to tick off in that time. Roll number 4 is a 5, so gonna have a bit of a dig again. We go for feeling this one. That is Storm, an N.K. Jemisin book for 2 points. My next prompt is Storm, which is to read an N.K. Jemisin book. So for this I'm going for the Obelisk Gate, and this one is covering a couple of prompts as well. That is a fantasy book and also people go on a journey, because I'm guessing people are going to be going on a journey in this one, because I mean the whole first book was quite journey based in a lot of places, so I'm guessing that there's going to be more journeys in this one. But essentially this one is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi fantasy dystopian kind of thing where the world is ending because the earth keeps on shaking, and whenever that happens, death and destruction follow it essentially. And this book is also covering a few people who can quell the shakes and what's happening with them essentially. And I loved the first book so much, so I'm so excited to see where this one goes and exactly what's going to happen here essentially. So excited. Roll number 5 is a 6, so gonna grab this one, I think that is Loki, continue a series for 3 points. My next prompt was Loki, which is also to continue a series, so for that I'm going for Aru Shah and the City of Gold, which is the 4th one in the series. I think it may also be the final one, I don't know, but this is the 4th one. It's focusing on Aru Shah and her friends, all of whom are reincarnations of the 5 Pandavar brothers from the Mahabharata, and it sort of works a bit like Percy Jackson in the sense that they are then going on quests every single book to try and save the world from various different mythological threats and things like this. I really enjoyed the first 3, so I cannot wait to read this one. I don't know if it's the last one, I'm hoping it's not, but we'll see what happens. And surprisingly, this isn't actually covering any prompt for Believathon whatsoever, same with Skullduggery actually, but they are covering the prompts for female main character and people go on a journey, because I thought it was best to have a backup to the Obelisk Gate. So it's covering those prompts for the Clear Readathon, and very excited to read this one though, and just excited to read it. And also, can we appreciate the pretty cover, because it's a very, very pretty cover. And then my final roll is a 1, so gonna have a bit of a dig around again, and I'm gonna grab this one, and that is Bucky, a physical comic for 1 point. And then my final prompt was Bucky, which is to read a physical comic, and ironically I don't own it yet because it hasn't come out yet, but it is on pre-order, so I will hopefully be getting it. If I don't, I will swap it out for another comic. Obviously I have quite a few to choose from, but Strange Academy is going to be my choice. This is the 2nd volume in the series by Scotty Young, and it's focusing on Doctor Strange and his magical academy, because he has created this magical academy where loads of magical people from the Marvel Universe all come together to be trained in the art of magic essentially. And I really, really enjoyed the first one, so I'm just very, very excited to see where this one goes and just to see what happens essentially. So yeah, cannot wait. So we'll see what happens there. And obviously that's not the end, because I have a problem known as I can't leave my TBRs at 6 books, so I have to overstretch myself despite the fact that I have 14 days to read all of this, and I'm doing NaNoWriMo because I have no chill essentially. And I've got a whole load of other projects to do as well, some of which you'll find out about soon. I've got a whole load of like stuff to do with the Sanctum as well, because Hawkeye and the Eternals is coming, so I don't know what I'm doing, but I am evidently overworking myself again, but never mind. So the first book I'm going to mention though is Verdigris Deep by Frances Hardinge. This is for the Frances Hardinge read along, which I'll leave a link to down below, and essentially I don't know what this one's about further than the fact that there's a well. I don't know anything else apart from the fact that there's a well. And I kind of wanted to go into this one without much knowledge, so we'll see what happens. I've then also got Black Widow Volume 2, and this one is also coming in November. I really enjoyed the first one, which is The Ties That Bind. It was one of my favourite Black Widow comics I read of the entire, week. I read them all, so very excited to read that one. I've then also got my highly anticipated Extraordinary by V.E. Schwab. This is the graphic novel companion to the Villains duology, which you can't see because my shoulder's in the way, but it is essentially her Villains duology, and this is a extra story set in between the two books, and it's focusing on someone who has the power to see other people's deaths, and then one day she sees her own death at the hands of Eli Ever, who is one of the main characters from Villains. And I'm just so excited because I love this idea, because I am such a nerd for that series. It's one of my favourite series of all time, if not my favourite series of all time. And I'm just so excited to read this one. I love, Villains and all the rest of it. I am here for more Villains universe. I'm here for just more superpowered people, essentially, because I'm never getting enough of that, quite frankly. So very excited to read this one when it comes. I'm then also going to be starting some Hawkeye Kate Bishop stuff. Obviously only the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye will be airing in the final week of November, so I will be watching those 2, and then I'll probably read maybe 1 or 2 comics there, and then just carry them over into December. I can't believe we're heading into November and December, quite frankly, because this year's gone too fast. But I will be reading some Hawkeye stuff. I will probably be giving Matt Fraction's stuff a second go, or I may read some of my Kate Bishop stuff, or I may just pick up some other Hawkeye things. I don't know yet, but that's kind of my idea. I've then also got Spy X Family Volumes 4 and 5. I'm pretty sure 4 has an animal on the cover, so that's where book with an animal comes from. So that's where I'm going with that one. This is the 4th and 5th one, obviously, in the series for Spy X Family, which is about a spy, an assassin, and a mind-reading child pretending to be a family together, where the spy and the assassin don't know that the other one is a spy and an assassin, and they don't know the child's a mind reader, but the child knows exactly what her parents are, essentially. It's a really good series, really fun, really light-hearted, so I cannot wait to continue it. I've also got My Hero Academia Volume 4, which is going to be counting for the group cast prompt as well, and obviously this is another one about a whole group of people who are in superhero school, essentially, in a world where nearly everyone has powers. I've really enjoyed it so far. Admittedly, it's not my favourite. Spy X Family is my favourite, but I'm very excited to read more about superheroes because I'm a superhero nerd, if you couldn't tell, so very excited for this. And then I've also got The Firekeeper's Daughter on this list, which is the Avengers Reading Challenge book. Now, I don't really know anything about this one because I like going into the challenge books entirely without any knowledge, essentially, so I'm going into this one with no knowledge, apart from the fact that I know it's a really hyped book, but apart from that, I know nothing. And then finally, if I get 5 minutes, I want to try and read The Clash of the Sky Galleons, which is the 3rd book in the Quint saga, which then finishes that off for me, so then next year I can finally read the Twig trilogy. But we'll see how time goes. This is my final middle grade that I want to try and fit on the TBR, but it's a bit chunky and I probably won't get to it, but we'll see what happens. Now I'm trying to lift all of this up and it's a bit ridiculous because it's a big stack. It's a massive stack. And it's killing me to try and lift it up, but there we go. That is my TBR. Now hopefully I can read all of these, but if I don't include the comics or the fan fiction, that is 217 pages a day, which is a lot considering the amount of other projects I also need to do this month, so we'll see what happens, but I'm going to at least attempt it. I know I can read the Jumbies and also Skullduggery really quickly, but apart from that I've got no idea, so we'll see what happens. I'm hoping I can get through it quite quick. Hopefully, but I don't know. And that is the end of my November TBR. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what you're reading this month. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a pen emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics. And if you look down there, there is now also the link to my new TikTok account, which is going to be focusing on book talk and bullet journaling, which will give you a kind of idea of exactly what's coming coming from me in the next couple of months, so go check that out if you are interested. And if you want to see any more of my videos where I have announcements and you can see me slowly descend into panic as I try to read all of these, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!